What's up, everybody? I don't know what we're calling this episode today. I guess it's still the Bama
Breakdown, Auburn breakdown.
Auburn breakdown.
Yeah, man. It's a little crossover. We got a Mike for no scholarship joining us today. We're talking Auburn. We gonna see if Auburn got scholarship this year now. So welcome to a special edition of the Bama breakdown. Yeah. How y'all doing, man? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all doing this for me, man. I love to talk and I love to talk about Auburn, bro. So hopefully I can do it some justice.
No,
Oh, yappers. Exactly right.
this is a good spin. Me and Dre been talking about Bama for a long time, so time to get on a new team. And ain't nobody better in the Auburn fan base than Mike right here breaking it down.
Appreciate that, buddy. So yeah, y'all don't feel free to go at me if you disagree with something I say or you have a different feeling about maybe what I'm doing or maybe you want to push back on it. Please feel free to. I definitely don't want it to be an Auburn propaganda segment. So just let me know. We can go back and forth about it, and I'll let you know my feelings on it. So I'm in there. And
Definitely not gonna let you get your propaganda off.
okay, valid. I wouldn't expect it.
I ain't gonna be no Auburn propaganda. Nah, we gonna tell the truth though, man. And there might be some people that don't necessarily like what I have to say about certain aspects of your team. Might even call me a fake fan. If I have too many nice things to say, just
I've been accused of that myself, so I understand.
I guess we'll start with before we get to anything. He was going into what year? This is year what? Three? Year four? Year three.
This will be year three.
Year three. Before we even break anything down, just from a talent standpoint, he has to do some things this year, right? Like he has to make some noise. Not necessarily make the playoffs, but he can't have another season where you guys miss a bowl game or I don't even know if 7 wins would be enough.
I think maybe that's the pivot point for a lot of people. There's some people that say if Auburn, finishes 7-5, they'll be there to help them pack. I'm not so much in that camp. I think there are some, 7-5 with a bowl game because Lord knows Auburn needs to win a bowl game. Talking about an 8-win team, I think that's going to be enough for some. Talent wise, that's not really an excuse that they have anymore. I will say if they do lose games, it will not be because they're just outmanned at this point. So I think that's where a lot of people's feelings lie. But the 7 is a very, very sticky number for a lot of people, it seems.
7. Nah, I think you got too many. You got too much talent on that roster to only win 7 games.
Agreed. Agreed.
What positions going into this year would you say that are your question marks for Auburn?
All right, so I'll give you one on offense, one on defense. For me, and this feels weird saying as an Auburn fan, the running backs are a question. Obviously, y'all know what Jarquez was and what he kind of meant for that team. He was kind of the steady hand in a lot of situations for them. Well, he's not there anymore. Damari Austin, I think he's going into his true senior year now. It's time for him to kind of step into that mold. We went and got Darrell Robinson from UConn out of the portal in the fall. He can do a little bit of it all. Good third down back. And then Jeremiah Cobb, another one who kind of has to take that next step, is kind of on a prove it in a lot of ways. Damari struggled with some ball security things last year, had a couple of fumbles in some pivotal spots. So that the effectiveness of that position remains to be seen for me a little bit. Somebody's going to have to step up and kind of fill that void. Defensively, for me, it's far and away the linebacker spot. We weren't the best there last year, but we had some veteran guys that, had played a lot of snaps and were knowledgeable. We're going to be very young, and when we're not young, we're very unproven. The linebacker spot, specifically the Mike spot for me, Riddick's going to play that weak side linebacker, another one that y'all are familiar with. I think he's going to kind of take that lead sophomore year. So for me, the Mike linebacker position is a huge, huge question, no doubt about it.
I mean, what about depth? How do you guys look depth wise? What would you say you're a little thin? Where you feel good at?
I mean, depth across the board we're in a pretty good spot. Let me try and think. I probably wish we had one more offensive lineman, if I was being honest. And I remember when we talked about it, and I kind of pushed back because I think you said we were losing some guys in the portal a little while back. Whenever that guard and that safety hit on the same day. And I told you, he wasn't really going to play, but when you kind of go in and you look at it, it's like, yeah, he wasn't going to play, but you like that guy that can play 3 out of 5 positions on the line and do some of those things. So I'd probably like to have one more swing guy. But outside of that, man, like I said, there's the linebacker room is maybe thin, but if guys fill in the way that we think that they can, the depth question for me goes away there. And same at running back. So it's not so much a thinness thing because I think if everybody kind of plays to more or less their ceiling, there will be depth there, but there's not a lot of proven guys at those spots. So depth overall for me, not really the craziest of concerns. Maybe one more guy that could play a little bit of the nickel spot, but nothing that stands out depth wise.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we can go through your depth chart a little bit, right? Talk about some of the key players. I do have it pulled up here on the screen. Hey, let me know if you can see that.
That's good enough for me. Like if I blank on somebody, I can zero in on it.
We'll start. I mean, I guess we'll start with the offense side of the ball then. I mean, that wide receiver room, if you just look at some of those names, a lot of talent in that room, right?
Right. It's the best of my lifetime, I would say, and I'm not even sure that's a hot take at all. It's gonna be legit, no doubt about it.
You haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since what, the 90s?
Yeah, I think it was 90, I believe, 98, 99.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name.
I got quizzed on it a couple weeks ago, and I pulled it from my rear end, but I couldn't tell you now.
That you know, as as a Bama fan, we're waiting to see that year one to year two with Ryan Williams, and I know you're excited to see Cam Coleman year one and year two because you put Eric Singleton out there with Cam, and then look down the list of Perry and y'all definitely got a good wide receiver room coming into this year. I mean, there's no denying that.
It feels weird, right? It feels weird as an Auburn fan to sit here and say, man, I really love our receivers, but I've got some real questions about the running back room. And y'all might even be feeling something similar, right? Like it's almost weird to even say it that way. And it remains to be seen how some of that will shake out. I think we probably have a little bit of a larger quarterback question than y'all, but overall, it's a weird predicament to be in to sit here and say like our best position group on Auburn's offense is the wide receiver room. You know what I mean? It feels a little weird to say, but overall, man, it's legit through and through. They're 6, 7, 8. Depending on how some of these guys play out deep at that position.
Would you say is the most underrated receiver in that room right now? Like the guy that a lot of people aren't talking about. And of course, in your opinion.
Sure. I would have said Perry after his spring. I'm not sure that's even he's kind of playing himself in a position where if it all comes to play, he's gonna break out. So the spring already kind of put him on that trajectory. So much so, I would probably say Horatio Fields is the guy that's not really getting mentioned enough when we talk about the receivers right now. He's big, he's physical. He might have outside of Cam Coleman the best ball skills in the room. He's going to be a nice little safety valve. I think he's probably the one that's getting talked about the least right now that may have the most production out of those.
Okay. Yeah, no, Horatio Fields. I saw a couple clips from him in the spring. Not too much, though. You're right. He kind of did
I wasn't
fly
really
under the
sold on
radar.
him. Yeah, I wasn't really sold on him when they picked him up in the portal. It kind of just seemed like a depth move. I think he just does he he's a nice little change up. I think, Cam Coleman, as great as he is, if you can have another guy on the opposite side of him that can play the ball in the air just as well with an even larger frame, right? I think, and that's another thing. I think that's why I'm so high on Cam is because they're doing things that's going to make his life a little easier too. So that's what makes me even more excited.
Yeah, I mean, kind of pick your poison right there with that room, right? You got Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman. You got Singleton. He was the best wide receiver in the portal, right? At least as far as rankings wise. Isaiah Horton's better, by the way, but rankings wise, you got it. And Perry's an interesting one, man, because I always felt like Perry would be better on defense. Like I thought he would have been a great safety.
You know, a lot of people said the same thing about Malcolm Simmons too. Some people said they liked him better as safety than they did receiver. Perry is going to be a very interesting watch this year. I'll just kind of leave it at that for now because I don't like to throw anything else like that around it. But he's going to be an interesting one to watch, no doubt about it.
Now,
And I mean, go ahead, Jay. What?
so I'll say the confidence level as far as what you've heard from Auburn fans as far as offensive line so far.
Sure. I've heard a lot of confidence. You asked the question when we were kind of getting ready to get rolling here about, the transfers and things. Our three interior guys, Lou, Wade, and Jeremiah Wright, they're all returning from last year. Now, the caveat to that is, and I told you earlier, Dylan Wade was playing right tackle for us last year. Well, he projects out, like I said, as a guard at the next level. And he doesn't have any film at guard. So it was mutually beneficial for him to bump into that guard position. So we do have two new tackles, which is obviously, that's kind of something to keep in mind. But I think the left tackle spot is, I think this is the first time we've had a true SEC caliber left tackle, even NFL caliber left tackle, in since Greg Robinson, maybe. We just haven't really had a real guy at that spot. So I think he's going to project that he's going to play pretty well. The right tackle spot is going to remain to be seen a little bit. And back to the left tackle real quick before I move on. It can't be worse than it was last year. We went and did the Percy Lewis thing. We whiffed. It was a miss. We paid a lot of money for him. It didn't work out. So that position I think will be a little bit better just because, we upgraded that position, in my opinion. The right tackle position, go ahead.
No. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is there any battles that you're seeing right here from this list of the starters and maybe somebody on that two list that
Sure.
is battling out?
Good question. So yes, the right tackle position, Mason Murphy, and then Isaiah Miller, Too Tall Miller. He played a good bit of right tackle last year as well. He can play, he can play left guard, left tackle, right tackle. He can play every position on the field. He can easily overtake Murphy for that right tackle spot. And then, Murphy he can play guard. Really, when they signed him, I thought he might try and play a little guard. So they've got a little versatility at that position. But yes, as far as offensive line goes, that's a battle to watch out for. Isaiah Miller and Mason Murphy. And yeah, so it's returning production, but not in a lot of ways at the same position that they may have been playing at last year. So it's not even so much that that they won't be better. It's that it may take a little while for them to find their best five, right? The best combination of five guys.
So I mean, offensive line, interior should be good.
It'll be legit.
Tackles, you have to wait and see. Because Mike, I don't know if you heard yet, man. We haven't seen him do it in the SEC yet.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Hey, man, we haven't
Now
seen it yet, so
they
we
are
don't know if they can.
they are both power four transfers. So that maybe will give you a little bit of a peace of mind. But yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. Now, I do think Xavier Chaplin, the left tackle, I think he is all that. He's going to be legit. He's going to be an NFL left tackle. I really do feel that. Now, the right tackle position, we'll have to see. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt if you choose. But Mason Murphy didn't exactly just kill it last year, so that's going to be one to watch out for.
Lou one of the better centers in college football this year. By the way, I hate this episode because I don't like saying nice things about Auburn.
I get it.
But no, Connor Lou for sure. Like I think after the season or towards the end of the season, you'll hear his name come up a lot when it comes to like draft projections and
Yes.
A lot of guys will be up on him then, but he's definitely a name to watch in next year's draft. It's a deep
Right.
center year in the SEC. Kind
I
of
was just
interesting.
about to say between y'all center and Florida's, and then Lou. I mean, that might be the best three in the conference, and they're in the conversation with anybody in the country as far as I'm concerned.
It feels like y'all's offense is set up a whole lot like Bama's offense this year. Just by reading, like, y'all got to transfer wide receiver in. Bama got to transfer wide receiver in. We're hoping that our right tackle really steps up, plays that next level. Y'all got
Mhm.
y'all got a new right tackle that y'all are wanting to step up. Running game, we talked about that. We think Jam Miller can be good. Y'all got to see this guy. And then we both have Jackson Arnold and Ty Simpson coming in playing, in a spotlight situation this year. I just feel like both offenses, when I'm looking at this, it's going to be interesting to watch both of these offenses and seeing how guys step up.
Yeah. No, they definitely do align in a lot of ways, and that's why I said, y'all probably feel a little bit better about the quarterback position, but it's not something you can just uh write home about at this point. Now that may change 6 weeks through the season or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's to be fair, and you tell me if you agree, it feels like it's a little bit of a switch up from, the roster, maybe not so much recent past for you guys, right? Y'all have gotten a million times better at the skill positions over the last, 5, 6 years or so. But it feels like it's maybe built a little differently than what we know Auburn and Alabama have been built in the past, right?
Yeah,
I say that like y'all didn't have a receiver win the Heisman a little while back, but you get what I mean. Pre 2017, eight.
no, but it's y'all having Cam Coleman, Alabama having Ron Williams, and then us getting some help for those guys with y'all getting Singleton. It's going to be interesting. These wide receiver units on both Alabama and Auburn, I'd put them up against anybody in my opinion.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Andre,
I'll be interested to see. Did we lose Dre?
are you still here, Andre? There he is.
Nah, I'm still here, man.
There we
Had to
go.
go take care of something real quick. But no, I agree. I would also say, yeah, two of the best wide receiver rooms in the nation. And I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to find many that are better. Right? Like, I think there's multiple NFL players in both rooms. And I think, I think they're, depending on if Hugh Freeze can get y'all through this season without any kind of hiccups, right? Unexpected losses. There's kind of a world where we could potentially be looking at a top 10, top 15 type Iron Bowl matchup that last game of the season. And that be with SEC championship potentially on the lines. High stake type of game. I mean, high expectations, but I mean, what are the expectations? Hugh has to come on, man. You go ahead and give me. I'm trying to hear like 9, 10 wins. I know you got it.
I mean, for me, this season, 2025, I don't even want to say I don't see a path to 10 because I do, obviously. But man, for me, it's really just like, I have to see it, man. Do you not have the hiccup? Do you not score 7 points against Vanderbilt, right? Do you not throw the ball in an obvious passing situation, right? Like, there's so many small things like that, yeah, is there a path? Absolutely. You can you can lose to Alabama and Georgia and still get 10 this season with the way the schedule goes, right? I don't think that's the way they get to 10, but I'm just saying, as far as you can lose by all accounts the two toughest games on your schedule and still get 10. But I also can Hugh Freeze go to Arkansas and win that game? Because you can't say talent gap anymore, right? That was kind of his buzzword up until now.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
want to
There's a
hear
talent gap in that game, but you guys
exactly.
have the advantage.
Right. So yeah, so that's kind of my thing. So it's not even so much a roster question at this point because as we kind of go through it, you're going to find me saying in a lot of positions like, man, I think we're better than we were last year. I think we've got real NFL caliber talent at these positions. But are we going to go lose to Vanderbilt? Is Diego Pavia going to beat Hugh Freeze for the third consecutive season? right? So there's those sort of things for me. Are we going to turn the ball over 5 times at home against a lesser opponent? You know what I mean? So there's things like that. And it really just comes down to it's the excuse time is over, right? You can't pull the talent gap card. You go went and got the quarterback that you wanted. You know, I give Hugh maybe even a little more pass than a lot of Auburn fans do for the Peyton Thorne thing. The timing of it all was very weird, right? I've mentioned that to y'all in the past. But you went and got the quarterback. You told us, you know, you like to build at the receiver position. That's how you were effective at Ole Miss. You've hit us with all of that. You paid Durkin, you know, top 2 or 3 salary in the country for an assistant. It's time, man. It's time. I think where my some of my weariness comes from is I got a little bit of PTSD from some of those things that we saw last year in winning situations, right? And not all of it falls on Hugh. We played a lot of young guys, and I think there was a little bit of a learning curve there, not even just as far as the playbook goes or knowledge or anything like that, but just learning how to win, right? And just kind of turning that corner. So that makes a little bit of sense, but it's kind of just all positioning in a place where it's like, you know, you can really catch fire with these guys.
I need y'all to fail. I don't want
I
you to
know.
succeed.
I know. Well, it's just like, well, why am I supposed to have the assumption that this team can go Baylor on the road? And I'm not even saying that to be negative. It's just like it's a 2.5 point spread. They have a, by all accounts, top 10 to 15, consider it on who you ask, quarterback in the country.
I know what you
So it's
I
like,
know what you can do,
mhm,
Mike.
yeah,
Go talk to Tennessee fans and see how they have confidence against Georgia every year.
that's true. That's true. Ask them why they think they're going to go beat Florida in the swamp for the first time in 20 years.
Ask them why they think Joey Aguilar is going to have a better season than DJ Lagway. If we got any Florida fans watching, hey man, either hit me in the DMs or comment, but I need to hear what y'all think about that one.
So yeah.
Do you do you think, Dre, that as far as a competitive coming into this coming up year, you know how you had Tennessee right there, you know Alabama was fighting at the end. Do you think Auburn could be where that Tennessee team was last year as far as the playoff spot?
I think it's pretty realistic to say that Auburn has a chance to replace Tennessee in the playoffs this year.
Mm. I mean, there is definitely a path. This is one of the easier schedules we've had in quite some time. We've got a few tough road games early, but if we make it through there in a good spot, you know, after the Georgia game, Auburn is in a position where they'll be favored in 5 consecutive games before the Iron. It's Missouri at home, Kentucky at home, Arkansas on the road, Vanderbilt on the road, and then the cupcake we play before the Iron.
Mercer.
Mercer.
I think it's Mercer. I
It's
think
something
so.
like that. You're probably not far off. So
Yeah,
that's
we
kind
play
of for
like
me.
Eastern Illinois.
Right.
We're not playing nothing better.
Right. So when I say there's a path to 10, it's kind of like you get over the Baylor hump. And I think a lot of the spread and everything around that has more to do with just we don't know. We don't know what Auburn. It could be anything. We could go out there and score 10 points, you know, or we can go out there and score 45 points. I just don't think we know yet. And a lot of that has to do with the quarterback position, right? If you survive the Baylor game, you've got 2 tough road games at A&M and at Oklahoma. Um, those are going to be tough. Those are going to be tough unless the Jackson Arnold revenge game happens, right? And you know, Andre, I'm a little higher on Oklahoma and Texas A&M to a degree than a lot of people, right? I am a John Mateer and Marcel Reed truther through and through. So those will be 2 tough ones to get by. But I mean, if you split those 2 games and you drop the Georgia game, which is kind of where I'm leaning, you've got 2 losses going into that 5 game stretch pre-Iron Bowl. Now, those hiccups you mentioned, if they get over those, you're talking about a 9-2 Auburn team hosting Alabama for the Iron Bowl.
10-1.
There you go. Well, then that's just so we can both get what we want, right? So, I mean that's where it's at. So, I mean, the Auburn fan in me thinks you split the Iron Bowl in the Georgia game, and then you split those road games early in the season, and that's kind of where your 10 lies, right? But man, I don't know quite yet if I trust Hugh Freeze to not drop one he's not supposed to.
And that's fair.
And that's where my big hang up is. I trust the defense to be amazing, right? I expect that's about all I expect at this point. I expect the wide receivers to be amazing, right? But outside of that, man, I'm a little bit on the I'm gonna have to see it first train, which is a little boring and lazy, but you know, we'll see.
I pulled up the defense, right? Because
Mhm.
I agree with you. I do think your defense is the strength of your football team.
Definitely.
I went back and I watched some of like the film on the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching it. Like we were in the space while I was watching it. Yeah, it was well, Falk definitely stood out. It was some other guys that stood out.
I remember you asking me about Falk. I remember you asking me about Caleb Harris. Those are the two that stuck out that I remember you asking. Who is number so and so?
I think that was 16?
No,
16?
Riddick is 16. Demarcus Riddick is 16. Well, he won't be this year.
He flashed a couple of times last year too.
Hmm.
Your defense gonna be good, but I mean, you're the fan here, so you go ahead. You tell us.
Okay.
Let's start with let's start with the name that everybody should get familiar with pretty early because I ain't going day one on that next year's draft more than likely, right? So start with Keldrick Funk.
Yeah, I mean, for my money right now, probably the best defensive lineman in the country, man. He is a true and true five tech defensive end. He's got everything in his arsenal. He's big, he's strong. I I said it, and I think you can go back in my tweets. I think I said it in the Cal game in the middle of us turning the ball over 5 times. I was like, Keldrick Falk has an all American season loading. And I truly do believe that, man. He's he's a great leader. He's a great guy. His brother just signed, is going to be a true freshman. He's through and through. He's like that, man. He's going to be legit. He's going to be kind of the next great Auburn defensive lineman.
Well, that can't be. I remember hearing some propaganda about a
Uh,
certain player.
Look, I've heard some nasty stuff over the last few weeks, man, but I just I'm not sure there's three in the country better than Keldrick Falk, much less three on one roster. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, no, I was talking about on your roster, man. I
Who's
heard
that?
some nasty propaganda about a true freshman.
Which one?
Uh, Jordan Crawford.
Okay, so Jordan
That
Crawford is going to
Jordan
be good.
Crawford, he's gonna be better than Derek Brown.
No,
He's gonna be double the player Derek Brown ever was.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I mean, he's physically in line with the abilities to do that, but I mean, you're talking about maybe one of the greatest five defensive linemen in Auburn history. So that's a good weight. That's a big weight to put on him. But no, he's going to be legit, and he's going to get a good chance to play a good bit. You know, they've got some guys ahead of him, but I think they want to rotate. And what you'll notice as we kind of go through here is I think they've got a little bit of flexibility. I think last year, with the offense being in the situation it was, I think our defense was on the field a lot more than it needed to be, and we didn't quite have the depth to overcome that. And I don't think that will be the case this year, especially on the D line.
But Antonio Coleman, I forgot all about him.
Shoot, I did
Not
too.
like in a petty way, but like,
No, I get
has he
what you're
not
saying.
done anything?
I don't know, man. I think it's not even so much that he hasn't done anything. I think Amaris took a big leap. You know, he entered the portal. He entered the fall portal. And it might have, some people said it was a money play or whatever the case may be, but we ended up retaining him, which was huge. So I don't even so much that Coleman hasn't done anything as Amaris just kind of cemented himself there. And I think that might be a little bit of even more of a shout out to Keldrick Falk because I'm not sure if he stays and I'm not sure if he takes quite the leap that a lot of people are saying that he has if he doesn't have a guy in front of him like that. So it's not, yeah, not even as much of a knock on Coleman as it is. I think Amaris is kind of next in line at that position, man. He's physically capable. I think he's even had an interview or two where he's kind of said, I didn't take it seriously enough or something along those lines. I think he's primed and ready. Coleman's going to be in the conversation. but I think Amaris has locked down that 2 spot at that DN.
Okay. So it's safe to say for a while they were maybe flip flopping on the depth chart. I did that. I wasn't serious.
Okay, I was about to say, I mean, probably not. Uh, I think we had to keep Amaris, man. That would have been a bad look on in the portal wise. That's one we had to. And even if we did pony up a little more money for him, I'm not even.
Well, so Demarcus Riddick said that he would never lose an Iron Ball. Do you think he's going to make a comment this year?
Oh man, you love these kids and everything like that, but I mean, Auburn and Alabama fans alike, as soon as that whole thing started coming out, you had to just be like, "Come on, man." If there's anything you want to do, or not anything that you want to do, you do not want to give either of these teams some bulletin board material like that, man. It was just like, I love it. I love the confidence. I appreciate where you're coming from, but you just not the time, man. Not the time.
Who's the guy on this list that you people are not talking about enough? Just like offense, who's the defensive guy?
Let me see here. So one I know for sure is Strayter, Rayon Strayter. He's shown at the backup behind Jay Crawford here. I think he is K.N. Lee, who, if you ask a lot of Auburn fans, they'll probably tell you didn't really live up to what we expected him to last year. So Rayon Strayter, we brought him in from I think Miami, Ohio, and he is like that. He's got NFL range for a cornerback. He's legit. So if Cam Lee, I don't expect him to do this, but if he kind of stays in the mode he was for a lot of the year last year, a Strader will be the guy opposite Crawford, and he will he will he will be a name to know, definitely. And again, about talking about being able to rotate guys, I think on the back end they are very flexible. I think they've got a few guys that can play at a couple different spots. We talk about Eric Winters. He's a guy who can probably play, he can probably play both safety spots, maybe even bump down to nickel. I think some similar things could be said about Fagans, a new boy. You know what I mean? He's kind of a wild card, right? I don't really like to invoke the freshman because it can kind of go either way, right? He can burst onto the scene and be a big part, or you don't hear him outside of some garbage time and he red shirts. So it's kind of a boomer bust thing when you talk about busting out. But shoot, there's so many guys in the secondary. New Boy, Winters, and Blake Woodby. In which, if you watch some Keelan Russell, you'll see some Blake Woodby popping up every now and again. Those three are freshmen that I'm willing to kind of say can one of those three can hit, maybe even all three. Probably would have to lose some guys, probably would have to drop some depth at the corner position for us to hear Woodby this year. But Fagans and Winters, I think, can play a real role.
Is Champ healthy?
So as of what I've heard, he is not fully participating. Now that could be
So
outdated at
New
this
Boy
point.
starting. I mean, based off of this depth chart, I'm looking at New Boy starting.
It's a possibility.
Buddy. Now he's talented though.
But
That would be interesting.
Champ's gonna be ready, but
I like
man,
Champ too,
you
man.
like having depth at your DBs, man, and you like being able to kind of be a little versatile at that position and move some guys around. So I mean, look, New Boy is going to be legit. He looked nice in spring. Winters popped a little bit in spring. And the thing is with these DBs, they're running these one-on-ones, or they're doing some of this stuff, and then they're making these plays against, like we talked about earlier. They're doing it against Cam Coleman and Singleton and some of these guys. Like, it's not like they're running out there against bums and making some of these plays. So that just makes you perk up even a little more, man. But New Boy's going to be something. I really do believe that. The secondary is so good, man. The wide receivers and the defensive backs, man. I can go on and on. I can say something about all these guys. I think they've probably got two, high level safeties with Sylvester and Caleb Harris. I think they've probably got three, and then maybe depending on how Woodby comes along, maybe even four high level corners, they're gonna be legit.
Not gonna lie, you sound kind of like Bama fans right now.
I know I was telling Jay
Wide
Witt, you might
receiver,
have been, yeah.
secondary,
Our
same
teams
thing.
are Jay Witt brought it up. We're built very similarly. Now it's different than what we're used to seeing our teams being built like to some extent, but we are built very similar.
No, for sure.
They got the Robinson kid transferred from
Mhm.
Bama to Colorado back to Auburn.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yep. He could play some nickel. He could play some safety, but the problem is I just don't know. Like, I don't know how much Caleb Harris is not going to be on the field
Right.
because he could probably play a little bit at that spot too. We're just deep there, man. He's good. He's gonna be important depth, but we've got probably between both safety spots, we probably got 5 guys at this point that can play that position, including Jacquez.
Tell you, Hugh did a really good job of building depth, defensive line. These new guys coming in
Mhm.
got some really talented in-state players right there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll talk if I have to outside of the linebackers, which like I said before are really a big question mark in my opinion. The other thing to watch out for is the buck, the edge spot. We lost a draft pick at that position from last year, Jalen McLeod, our most productive guy at that position. Kieran Crawford flashed at times, but he also flashed a little bit of bad, like undisciplined, running himself out of the play, things like that, which got better as the season went along. I think he was really good. He was really good in the Bama game to a certain degree. Got all the physical tools, but got to clean it up a little bit. So that is something that I would keep an eye on. Our pass rush was good, not great last year. I'd like for it to be a little better, and that a lot of that's going to fall on him. Chris Murray, transfer from Sam Houston State, the backup there. They had a lot of good things to say about him, but I mean, my question is, and this is kind of one of those things when I talk to Auburn fans, it's like you've got a second year transfer from Arkansas State starting at your buck spot, and then your backup is a first year transfer from Sam Houston State. Now, that's not to say they're not good or don't have the abilities or the talent level to play here, but there is a little bit of a curve, right? This ain't the Sun Belt, right? Or the Conference USA, whatever the heck Sam Houston State's in.
I, I get what you're saying, but I can't let you get that off because then I'm gonna have to listen to all the Tennessee fans and all these other fans tell me John Mateer's not gonna be good
But
because
it's
he
not
was at
even,
Washington State last year. Like, nah, I
but I'm
can't let you
not,
spread that propaganda.
to be fair though, I'm not saying it to say that they're not going to be good. I'm just saying it to say that there's a curve. There's a curve. A lot of the things that Kieran Crawford was probably getting away with at Arkansas State 2 seasons ago, he ain't gonna get away with. And some of that can be fixed by just coaching and shaking out some of those bad habits and getting older. And he's got the skills, man. He flashed plenty, but sometimes he flashed for running himself out of the play or getting pushed out of the play. Murray's good. They've both got the physical skills. It's not a question of well, they were just beating up on guys in a smaller conference. Like they've got the skills. It's just about we're talking about what this defense has the ability to be. I need to see it kind of turn that corner. That's it.
So,
I'm in the camp of I want producers from lower conferences over former 5 stars from power conferences.
well, I mean, I guess it depends on where you're getting those 5 stars from.
Does it? I mean,
It does.
I don't know. If
Dante
you've been
Moore,
at
the
a
former
school,
5 star, wait for Oregon this year because Oregon is about to. I'm telling you, Dante is like that.
but we don't. I mean, I probably agree to a certain extent, but we don't know. Jackson
And
Arnold was a former 5 star. What do we think about that? Because if
now
you're going to
John
use the
Mateer,
argument, if you're going to use the argument for Dante Moore, former 5 star, then you got to talk about Jackson Arnold.
not really.
Why not?
No, because I mean it's
But you
kind of a
talk
different.
about Ty Simpson.
Well, look. Well, that first of all, both of those players are a different situation than Jackson Arnold.
Why?
Jackson
Because Jackson
Arnold.
Arnold had to play quicker than the other two?
Exactly, precisely. And not just that. No, it's not really that, but because Dante played as a freshman too, right? But
He did. Yeah.
both of these guys have been in the system for at least a year.
Okay. Fair enough.
Dante's been at Oregon for a year. Like he's going into year 2 at Oregon. I mean, Todd Simpson, it feels like he's been at Bama a whole lifetime. So you guys are getting Jackson Arnold like fresh out the gates. Right. I think that's maybe somewhat of the difference there because even if these guys didn't get on the field, they've been in the room, but they've been around the coaches. They've had the time to really pick up and understand the offense. I was just listening to a podcast the other day, matter of fact, former Super Bowl winner, 2-time Super Bowl winner, one time as a Saint, one time as a Giant, Casillas was speaking about how it took him until year 2 to really understand the defense. So he felt lost year 1, right? But year 2, he was kind of out there as like the coach on the field. I do think that applies when you talk about these players. He's just understanding of a system. So does that worry you at all with Jackson Arnold?
Yes, but not really. Think I think him and Hugh, for better or for worse, remains to be seen, but I think they fit each other well. So while there may be a little bit of a learning curve, I'll say whatever he's going to be running with Hugh this year, he's probably going to be much more comfortable, even with the shorter timeline that he was with what he was running at Oklahoma last year. Now, some of that could have to do with personnel, but I just think there's a little bit more comfort there. I think we maybe will benefit from some of the lumps he had to take, right? So not really. I don't think if the offense ends up being lackluster, I don't think it's gonna be because Jackson Arnold didn't have a full grasp of what Hugh Freeze wants. Does that make sense? Like it may come up short, but I don't think if you listed off 5 things for why Auburn ends up falling short, I don't think one of those 5 things would be because Jackson Arnold didn't have a grasp of the playbook.
See what you're saying. But at the same time, Jackson Arnold wasn't your first option now, Mike.
Oh God.
We both know that.
I just don't even know if I buy it. I hate to call the kid a liar, man, but I'm just like, I just don't even know how it just doesn't even mix. It doesn't even mix for me. He just doesn't even seem like a guy that you would go after.
For
And just
people that
consider the
don't know,
fact, yeah, go ahead, clarify.
Tommy Castellanos did an interview a couple weeks back, and he spoke about how he was real close to just signing on that dotted line and going over to Auburn. And then Gus Malzahn, of all people, swoops in and along with Tommy C, stuffs the Eagle Tigers in a locker.
I just it just doesn't add up to me, man. It just doesn't
I
add
mean,
up to
one
me.
plus one equal two to me. I'm just saying.
Other quarterbacks, the other one of the main quarterbacks outside of if you believe like the message board fodder stuff, one of the other quarterbacks we had that we wanted was Malik Murphy. That's just seems so
From Duke, right?
from Duke.
Well, the
Yeah,
Texas first
right.
and then the
Texas,
Duke.
Duke, Auburn.
Yeah.
So he was one of the others that we were going after. I just how could you if Hugh Freeze was going after Malik Murphy and Castellanos, are those not like total opposite ends of the spectrum? At that point, I'm like, it makes me look at Hugh Freeze like, you even have a plan at this position, or are you just throwing something at the wall and seeing what sticks?
No, last year. I mean, I was frustrated at times last year, but you had to watch Peyton Thorne play football last year. So
That's a fact.
maybe the play.
Maybe it was the plan just not Peyton Thorne.
Anybody but Thorne.
That may be valid. That may be valid. That may be valid. You actually, yeah, I never, for some reason, I never
Man.
considered it that way. That's funny.
I thought you guys would get Salter initially, though. I'm kind of surprised y'all didn't get Salter.
The crazy part
I
about it
stuffed y'all
is,
in a locker too. Man,
I
y'all
did.
just
No,
be.
I'm gonna be honest,
One.
Dre. I don't even know if we ever reached out. I don't know if I'd have to go back and look. And people can kill me for this if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if there was ever any real smoke around. Now, for whatever that reason may be, and you know how the fans go, as soon as somebody ends up going somewhere else, like, oh, we didn't have his major or whatever, he didn't have the grades. Like,
Not a take.
yeah, exactly. Like, no. So that's why I don't remember hearing any legitimate, like, I don't think he came on campus. I don't think it was anything like that with him. Now, whether that was Salter's call or Hugh's call, I do know that there was no real communication there.
But the more I think about this, Jackson Arnold was probably like your fifth option. We might have to rethink this like 9, 10 wins
But
this
I
upcoming
don't
year.
think
Like
so, Dre.
I can say,
I think, but I that makes sense optically,
it
but
doesn't make sense. I'm just messing with
but
you.
else, but think about it though. But think about it though. Just because the way it all timed out, I just Hugh from everything Hugh said, and this is kind of going to be ironic for me because I'm like, oh, the propaganda machines are propaganda again, right? But the word is not even just from Hugh's mouth that like he's been on Arnold, like even to the point of like tampering type of deal. Like now that could just be a man.
NCAA. I'm just saying, I call him right now.
Yeah, I know you got Nick Saban on
You
speed
give me the
dial.
word,
He's
I'm
really the
snitching.
NCAA. You know Nick Saban.
Exactly. See,
Exactly.
you understood.
Exactly. But and I'm just and like I said, that could just be propaganda, right? Like, oh, this was our guy the whole time, right? It's kind of similar to how y'all did with Kalen DeBoer, right?
Kalen was our first call.
I
Oh,
know.
Wait a minute. Hey, buddy, the GOAT retired on the same day we were on a plane to Washington. I'm just saying.
I mean, I know. I mean, and I'm not even if I say that in jest, I'm just fucking.
No, I know.
But
We're just taking jabs back and forth. Can't be
of
too
course,
friendly. And
exactly.
we
We've
still
said too
rivals.
many nice things, too many pleasantries.
here's something I want to throw at. All right, so y'all got Baylor, and then the next two games. Who's the next two games?
I think it was like Ball State and South
Well,
Alabama.
hold on. Because I actually got that pulled up just in case we got to this part of the conversation. Don't call it a setup, but it kind of is a setup. Um, yeah, but Baylor Auburn. You think how you feeling? You gonna win that game?
If you want my honest thing and how I'm feeling, May 20, whatever it is today.
It's May. Obviously, this is
This is the difference between Auburn going 7-5 or Auburn being 9-2 going into the Iron. Like that's kind of where my brain's at with it. And even 6-6 maybe. I have to maybe watch some more Baylor. To be fair, I haven't really watched anything outside of people telling me about their quarterback. I just think it's one you gotta have, man. Gotta have it. Like, which is crazy to say about a week one game, but it's just, similar. We've talked about LSU, right? Like, that Clemson game for them, right or wrong, is going to be kind of a big hinge point for them. So I just feel like, man, you got to go to a lesser opponent. I don't give a crap where it is, and you've got to go win that football game. Can't lose to Baylor. If you want to
don't
be who
sleep
you
on
think
that
you can
Baylor
be,
team, man.
and that's not
Don't
even,
sleep on
I think I might be too awake on them more than a lot compared to a lot of the way Auburn fans seem to feel about them. I think I'm too awake. I'm woke. Exactly. So that's why I'm like, man, and that's why I told you earlier, we can score 10 points and lose 13-10, or we can go hang 40 on their head. I just don't think we really know what version of Arnold do we get, things like that. But Auburn should win that football game.
I mean, you should. All right. So, I mean, Ball State, we don't really have to have a serious conversation about Ball State. O-line factory, though. Am I right, Jay Witt?
O-line factory. That's right.
O-line factory, man. So,
Wait,
South Alabama, hey, they're
if
known for their
Gio
defenses
Lopez,
over there at
yeah,
South
but if
Alabama.
I ain't worried about no major Applewhite coached football team. If they still had Gio Lopez, I'd maybe be concerned, but
Let me throw this. Let's say you beat Baylor, you beat Boston. Y'all are 3-0. Oklahoma game, y'all are going to Norman, right? Jackson Arnold gets too emotional in that game because that could easily happen. Where you go in there, you
Definitely.
get too emotional. You're playing in front of that home crowd that you were playing for last year. He has a rough game that game. Oklahoma wins. Say it just throws chemistry off. You come back Texas A&M week, somehow you slip up there. That's where I could see something happening with Auburn, like because then you got Georgia coming up next. So I think y'all have a lot of potential coming up this year to have a really good season. But I could see something like that going down to where maybe Jackson Arnold just, he just has a rough game against Oklahoma, trying to do too much. Come back to the A&M game. Y'all do have a bye week before Georgia, but that could be where I could see something just slipping off on the schedule right there of something
Yep.
like that happening.
And I was actually having this conversation with an Auburn fan. I think it was the day before yesterday. There's a world where Auburn starts the season 3-3. You beat Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, and then you drop three straight: Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia. But that's why I brought up those 5 straight games between Georgia and Bama where you will be favored. Because if the wheels don't fall off, and if everybody keeps their wits about them, you still can go in 8-3 to the Iron Bowl with 9 on the table. And depending on how everything plays out, maybe in contention for something meaningful, right? Probably not with 3 SEC losses, but just for the sake of the conversation. So it
It'll
is
be
very
one in
much,
there this year.
yeah, it
Somebody
is
make it in
very
with 3 losses.
much, exactly. It is very much a swing kind of point because you can start the season 3-3, but look at those next 5, right? Missouri at home, Arkansas on the road, Kentucky at home, Vanderbilt on the road, and then Mercer at home. You will be favored in all 5 of those games. And I don't want to hear nothing at that point. It's just like, what needs to be done. And that's where 7-5 leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Because that means 7-5 means you're dropping one of those games before Bama and then dropping Bama.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we got to stop for a second, right? Because I don't like how you just kind of overlook my guy Diego Football over there, right?
Look,
And,
he
and
is the
going on the
boogeyman.
road to the hardest environment in all of the SEC. I mean,
Eh,
look, that is
we might
not a
have more
guaranteed
fans
win.
there. We might have more fans there than Vandy does.
I mean, look, at the hardest environment in the SEC.
Nashville's a big Auburn hub, man, and that's what I'm saying. But it's like you are a better football team than Vanderbilt, and
And
at
so were
some
we
point,
last year.
yeah, but it just but we're in different. We're different. I mean, yeah, I guess, but totally different situation, right? If Hugh Freeze was in year one, it maybe be a different conversation. Mind you, he lost to Diego Pavia at home when he was playing for New Mexico State, so he's already gotten the lose to a lesser team thing out of the way. So
Wait a minute. Is that a lose to the lesser team thing out of the way, or does he just have a Diego Pavia problem?
I don't even know if it's Diego Pavia. I think it's like so he lost to New Mexico State when he was still at Liberty, his last year at Liberty. Pavia wasn't on that team. Their head coach, I think their head coach is who the problem is, who I think is now their like passing game coordinator or some sort of offensive analyst for them. He retired New Mexico State and then went with Pavia to take like a consultant role or something along those lines. So that's who it is. It's not Pavia because he lost to the team before Pavia was on it. And again, another situation where he had more talent. It's a Jerry Kill problem. We'll see
Man,
though.
Now, did you say y'all go on the road to Arkansas?
That's gonna be tough.
That's one I would have sort of a circle on that one too.
Definitely, definitely. That's probably to me gonna be tougher than that one's probably gonna be tougher to me than the Vandy game. Just kind of how I feel today about it. If I take the Diego Pavia boogeyman mind game out of it and I just kind of leave it to the X's and O's side of things, I think
no, it's
Arkansas
definitely
is
Arkansas. I mean, look, they got Taylor Green over there. I think Taylor Green has a really high ceiling. Now it's yet to be seen if he reaches that ceiling. And quiet as kept, if Arkansas just knew how to win football games, like, 'cause I guess winning is just harder than it actually looks, right? But they haven't figured it out at Arkansas yet. But they've been in position like that Oklahoma State game. They were in perfect position to just close that game out, and they just fumbled it away.
And that
There's
just
multiple
ended up
games like
being,
that, but
yeah,
they're dangerous.
that
They
ended up
are.
being
It's a
such a
dangerous
bad
team.
that ended up being such a bad Oklahoma State team too. Even at the time, it was like, okay, it is what it is. Nice job, Arkansas. You hung tough, and then that Oklahoma State team just kind of ended up totally collapsing. And then you're Arkansas, and you're like, man, how did we lose?
Well, it's because they went into the season having to rely on Alan Bowman to win them football games at Oklahoma State. I mean, when you got to do that, they had some nice receivers, but he was one of like a seventh, eighth year quarterback, something like that. He was
Yeah, yeah.
damn near my age. I got four kids, so I
All right, so what? So I'm telling you, I think it's 8-4. That's what I think. If I had to guess today, 8-4 is where I land. Is that high or low for you guys?
I just want you to know you're not Porter. You don't have to be so negative. 8-4.
I would say that's your floor.
Come on now, Mike. 8-4. Like I get it. You don't want to get your heart broken
Maybe that's
by
what it
Hugh
is.
Freeze and Jackson Arnold, right? But come on.
You're predicting your floor right now, man. To me, that
No, probably, maybe so.
I mean,
Because I
y'all,
mean,
y'all don't have Texas. Y'all don't have LSU. I mean, when I
we've
look at
got
that schedule,
Oklahoma and A&M on the road in the first 5 weeks of the season.
What you telling me? You about to go get ready to learn Elko?
I mean, no, I don't know. I think they have less of a quarterback question than us. Now, to that point, that might be the only position where they have less of a question mark than us.
we got a we got a message from the audience.
oh man,
Oh God.
Sam Pittman will have another losing season. May even be fired after the 2026 season. I don't necessarily agree, or I don't think they would fire him.
They gonna
I think it
mutually
would
part
benefit
ways.
exactly. I think it would benefit them to get rid of him, but
Yeah,
it won't be framed as a firing.
it
They
wasn't
wouldn't.
Dave.
it was
No, it
Dave
was
too.
Lauren. It was Lauren.
So she says Pittman will be fired.
Yeah,
He
scorching
says
hot take
Pittman will
there.
be fired.
I
That's
don't think he's going to
so
be fired. I don't know if he makes it through. He'll make it to the end of this year, and there will be a big thing about he stepped down and whatever else may be, and it'll be a nice flowery press release. But
they might fire him, but we'll never know that he was fired. Put it that way. Unless he comes out and says, no, F this or whatever,
yeah,
I'm not doing
right.
this, then we'll find out. But outside of that, it'll just be him riding off into the sunset and
So
living his life.
how many losses puts Hugh's seat getting hot?
I got another question about Hugh here in a minute too.
Do you want what'll make the fan base heat his seat up, or what'll actually probably realistically by the people that matter make his seat hot?
People that matter. So the fans, of course.
Six
The
and
fans
six.
matter. Mike,
Well, the
those
fans.
other people don't matter.
I'm telling. The narrative is right now. If Auburn goes 7-5, they need to, because
And
that
seven
means
and
you
five, he's
lose.
fine.
That means you lose every semi-important game on your schedule.
And if he goes,
Everybody's just sick of losing to Bama and Georgia, guys. Everybody's sick of it.
I mean, not everybody has to play Georgia and Bama every year, but there's one unlucky team, well, two unlucky teams that have done it for a long time.
Okay, so ask me what you said you were going to ask. I think 7-5. There will be real conversations had. Now, if you go win the bowl game, you go 8-5, then maybe it all goes away and you give it one more run. But what does the recruiting class look like if you go 7-5, right? It's already teetered because I'm telling you, and I think I've told you guys this before. I
Yeah, I
think a
got that
lot of the
Yellowwood money.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the recruiting class right now for Auburn's side is in wait and see mode a little bit. So how many people get on board with a 7-5 Auburn football team? But ask what you wanted, Dre.
So, recruiting, 7-5 football team, Hugh Freeze, all that good stuff. I had to listen to Auburn fans have a worse class than me last year. Or not me, but Alabama last year. And obnoxiously tell us repeatedly that Kalen DeBoer will never be able to recruit the state and that Auburn's locking out the state. We can look at the top five in the state this year. It doesn't look good for Auburn right now. So my question is, why can't Hugh Freeze recruit the state of Alabama, at least at the highest level?
I think he can. I think he's proven that he can. Like,
Did he
like,
prove it?
I mean, I guess maybe 1 year doesn't really prove it, right? But I think for me, really,
An
it's
asterisk year, too. We'll get into that. Go ahead.
okay. I think it's really, like I just mentioned, I think a lot of Auburn, I think a lot of things revolving around Auburn now is a lot of wait and see. I think they've had some big guys on campus. They just had their little summer whatever, and it went well. They've got some guys there, they're real, that can really potentially flip. I don't think just with the way the roster, I think, the last couple of years, he's probably been able to sell a little bit more of you can come in and play and be a key contributor right out of the gate, where maybe he doesn't have that same ability right now, which is kind of goes, that's the to the victor goes the spoils as far as recruiting goes in that sense, right? But I think it's just like I said, I think it's a lot of wait and see right now, man. It sucks, and you like to have some momentum, you know, you like to some recruiting momentum, especially. It always feels good when you're seeing, the so and so, you got a crystal ball, or the this and that is going to be on campus. You like those things. The vibes can be high. So it feels a little quiet, too quiet sort of situation. But, my rationalizing for it is it's just Auburn's at some point gonna have to show it on the field.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show it. And I mean, look, I don't know if Hugh can do it, right? Like you argue, Sean he could do it, but I mean, let's analyze what happens in the year that he does it. I mean, was it just a normal year in college
Yeah.
football? Did anything happen? I mean, what do you think was like the
I mean, the
key
greatest
reason?
coach of all time got fired and yada yada yada, or not fired, but no,
Fired.
sorry. I was thinking the greatest coach of all time retired.
Wait a minute. Did that coach potentially coach in the same state?
He did.
Yeah.
So
He did. I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
so the whole Auburn picking up all those in-state recruits last year was overblown, like a little bit.
Yes, but you look, I know I can put Big Duck on the cave, so you can go search my tweets. I was never puffing my chest out about running the state because I mean, I get it and I understand, and it absolutely was overblown, but you got to understand the mindset of the Auburn fan base since COVID, right? We got to take the victories where you can get them, and it was nice. Even if it does have an asterisk beside it because of the situation around it, it is nice to get those guys.
Victory, basically.
No,
The
not a
reason, no,
moral
yes, it
victory.
is. Yes, it is. It's
All
a
right,
moral
tell
victory.
me why so I
It's
can
a
tell you why it's
moral
not.
victory. It's a moral victory because y'all were bragging about winning the in-state recruitment while having a worse recruiting class.
But
That's
it
literally the
does.
definition of a
But
moral
it,
victory.
yeah, but
You lost and still act like you won.
but
That is a moral victory.
the class for Auburn is and will be very, very pivotal to the success of Auburn moving forward.
Oh, that I'm not arguing that. I'm just
So
saying you
that's
can't.
that's that's why I say, even if I think, and I don't know. I mean, people have tried to compare the whole Kalen DeBoer thing to the Brian Harsin thing when it hasn't been any sort of aligned in almost any way. So a lot of people just assume because Brian Harsin, and it's not even that he struggled, he just refused to do it. A lot of people just for whatever reason assumed DeBoer would do the same thing. So it was kind of on, and I think it was the class was amazing, and it is nice to with the way the last however long in this rivalry has gone, you do like to have that. And the only reason I push back on the moral victory thing is because what if one of those, if those guys pan out to what we think they can be, it will bring in more guys of this caliber, right? If we turn a Perry Thompson into what we think he can be and he becomes that, it's only going to play better for Auburn in the long run. So a moral victory in the moment, maybe yes, but it is to this point has been a pretty big game changer for Auburn.
I mean, you didn't even make a bowl game last year. You talk about a
But they
big
were
game
all
change now. Come on
freshmen.
now,
They were
Mike.
all freshmen.
Just saying, no, no, no.
They were all
We got to do
freshmen.
we got to do accountability here. You
They were
didn't
all
you didn't even make a
freshmen.
bowl game.
They were
Come
all
on.
freshmen.
I mean, Ryan Williams was a freshman, and did you know he was only 17 at the time?
If I didn't know, now I know.
That's bad, man.
I know, but but not all freshmen are created equal. You know this. That's why I said earlier I don't like hyping them up too much because they're either Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams or they're redshirts.
Yeah, we got another hot take from Lauren. That's why I was laughing a minute ago. Kind of was speechless. If it happens, Arkansas will stay in poverty. I'll tell you that much. So, Lauren said, fired in quotation marks, meaning part ways. Jimbo Fisher could be in the convo for the next head coach position at
Why is
Arkansas.
Lauren calling these Arkansas shots? No, it's gonna be Gus Malzahn, Lauren. Come on.
Jimbo to Arkansas. That would yeah.
Would they put Bobby Petrino back there at the head coach again?
I think they can.
So
I think
yeah,
there's something where they can't make him a head coach or
Really?
something. So he
so
could be without.
yeah. So Chris Go Hogs, shout out to him because he actually informed me of this. There's something about like public employees in the state of Arkansas where if they're fired for cause, they can never work as a public employee in the state again. So no, so like not even because they wouldn't, but because in some sort of legal way, and if I catch him around when we're in it, I'll get him to clarify it because he said it a little while back. But there is a legal hurdle that would not allow Petrino to go to be a head coach there.
Yeah, but I mean, he could OC and you get a defensive head coach and not really much different. I mean, he's the OC now, is he not?
He may be.
I think he is. Yeah, then they made him OC last year.
Okay, I was like, sorry, I usually have an answer for
No,
everything.
yeah. You
I'm
talk
just leaving with I don't know.
you talking about Petrino?
Yeah.
He's the OC. The OC at Arkansas.
Well, then I wonder what I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to ask Chris because I wonder what the difference is at that.
Yeah, why could he take
We
the
had to
OC
get
but
a
not the head coach?
Arkansas fan on here, get him to explain it all to us.
Man, yeah, I guess.
I mean, not right now. I mean, I don't really care that much about Arkansas to tell you the truth,
That's what I'm about to say. If you're an
because
Arkansas fan, send it in a DM, bro. That's about the extent that I want to hear about it.
Go Google it, Dave.
That's funny. No, we'll see Chris Go Hogs in a space. I'll press him on it because he said something about it a little while back. I took his word for it. Now he could be totally off base, but he seems
no,
like
I heard something similar, and I want to say I heard it from somebody else. So.
so what? Y'all grilled me a little bit. What do you? So y'all are saying the ceiling. What do you think? I mean, do you think we beat and Oklahoma on the road?
You know how I feel.
Exactly. I
We
didn't.
made a comment earlier that
Hey,
everybody's team is predicted 9-3 and 10-2. So
Everybody can't go 9-3 or 10-2. Right.
I want to say 9-3 with Auburn. That's what I want to say. What do you feel?
let's see that somewhere in that range. I mean, I think it's somewhere in that 8-4, 10-2. It's like everything goes right. Jackson Arnold comes in and he's
Definitely.
much improved from last season. You have the rest of the team, I feel like, but it's dependent on him. So guess it just I mean, yeah, you just have to see how much he elevates his game. Damn sure not beating us. I mean, the rest of the country, I don't know what y'all gonna do with them, but when it comes to us, y'all losing.
The path to 10-2 is splitting Oklahoma A&M and splitting Georgia Bama. That is the path
You
to
must
10
be
and 2.
beating Georgia then.
I mean, maybe so. I mean, they've got questions too, right? We've got as good a shot to beat Georgia as we've had in quite some time too, right? So, like the opportunity, and we get them both at home, so the opportunity is going to be there. But like I said earlier, are you gonna Are you going to throw the ball when you're supposed to run it when you're up a touchdown and you're on the plus side of the field? You know what I mean? Like there's little things like that where Auburn could have won 8 or 9 last year. You know, there was a lot of one, and that's why I keep going back to what the team last year is. They had to learn how to win a little bit when you're young, and maybe that goes for the coaching staff and Hugh Freeze a little bit too, right? Like, you gotta make the right call in this situation, right? And you got to, you can't take your foot off the pedal. You can't second guess yourself. You gotta just do it. And until you do it and you see how it's done and you get comfortable in that process, then it's gonna be the same old.
Well, Mike, I'm gonna tell you,
Okay.
you breaking down your team, we get somebody else from another team. They got a lot to live up to with this one.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Y'all know I love to talk and I love Auburn, bro. So that's the perfect combo for me.
And we're gonna be back tomorrow too. I don't know what we're gonna be talking about, man. Y'all just tune in. We're
I
gonna
got a
be
few
talking
things.
about a
I got a
couple of
few
different
things
things.
on mine. I got a few things on the mind. I'm gonna try and see if we can venture out of the SEC just a little bit because it's kind of weird.
Please, please. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with Porter too. Happy birthday to Porter.
Happy
Turned
birthday.
25. Was it 25, I think, right? Yeah, so shout out to him. Yeah, I mean, if anybody out there has any questions or any comments they want to make, tap in. They went. You got anything else you wanna say?
No, man, that was fun. Getting out of Bama, talking to Auburn with Mike. I enjoyed it. A lot of fun.
Yeah, nah, it was fun. I don't know. I think we lost Mike, but we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And peace and positivity. And
Simple as
till
that.
next time. Simple as that.
See ya.